I'm Emily Mashak, and you're listening to Tuned In to NoCo, Town Square Media's show that lets you know what matters in NoCo. I'm talking today with Natasha Lloyd, the co-founder of ReKaivery, a nonprofit here in Northern Colorado that is working on improving the connections within our food networks. So thank you so much for joining me today, Natasha.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Now, before we get started, for those who are unfamiliar, can you explain what is ReKaivery?
Yeah, absolutely. We are, as you said, a nonprofit here in Fort Collins, and we connect local farms to commercial opportunities to sell. And so that includes things like restaurants and caterers. And so we've created an online platform that makes it easier for the relationship between local farms and restaurants and caterers. So we're really encouraging those local food networks.
That is awesome. And now I have to ask, ReKaivery is a pretty unusual name. What does it mean?
Yeah. So originally when I launched ReKaivery with my team and co-founder, we were on a mission, and the mission is still the same, but we were on a mission to recover local food networks because we realized that the food supply chains these days are so massive and there's a lot of challenges surrounding that. So we were defining ourselves as recovering local food networks. So the word ReKaivery obviously sounds a little bit like the word recovery. And so we were playing with that. And then I'm sure you can hear by my accent, but I'm not from around here. I am from New Zealand. And our Indigenous people are the Māori, and their language is te reo. And the word kai is the te reo word for food. So I'm really proud to bring in some of my New Zealand roots. So we got the word recovery, and we've got the word kai for food. So it's kind of like recovering those food networks. So yeah, we're really proud of our name.
I think it is such a cool name, and I love that it encapsulates both your culture and your mission all in one. And now you touched on this a little bit, but you are one of ReKaivery's co-founders. What inspired you to begin this nonprofit, and how did you get it up and running?
Yeah, so I was really fortunate to be part of the Colorado State University Impact MBA program, and that Impact MBA is really unique, and they help take you through the processes of building a business, whether for-profit or non-profit, that is for good, right? They really believe in the future where the environment and business can coincide. And so we were fortunate, my team and co-founder and myself, we were all in the Impact MBA program. We were challenged to go out and search for problems, search for areas where we felt could be improved, and we landed on the challenges surrounding the food supply chain, which includes, it's a endless list of challenges, including environmental problems, social equity issues, all of that. And that was really where we honed in, and we didn't know exactly how we could help. So we really had to sit down and start asking questions for everybody along that food supply chain to really understand where we could insert ourselves and how we could make that difference. And once we started listening and hearing people's challenges, we realized that ReKaivery would be best suited somewhere between the local farms and commercial kitchens. So that's how we ended up there. And it was really, we knew we had a mission to help the food supply chains, and it was just from there we had to figure out where exactly we could make the best impact. And we think that our position now between those small farms and commercial kitchens is where we're going to do that.
Well, that is so great just to hear about your growth in this short time, and I can't wait to see how ReKaivery continues to grow. But how big of an issue is food waste in America? Could you expand on some of those challenges you heard?
Yeah, it's pretty, it's quite a big problem, and understandably, it's not something that everybody is aware of course. And really, only once we dug in did we learn more and more information about how scary and how many challenges there are with the food supply chains. But the most shocking fact that we came across is that according to the USDA, so we're talking about pretty credible numbers here, between 30 and 40%. So over a third of this nation's edible food. So I'm not talking about waste. The 30 to 40% of the edible food is terminating in the landfill. So that was just, it's still hard to process hearing that, a third of the edible food. And obviously with that comes issues with it digesting in landfills, which releases methane. And we know that methane is challenging for various environmental reasons. And beyond that, we realized that it's all those resources that are being put into growing this beautiful food for communities that are going to waste. And then it's all of the effort of the farmers who are such pinnacle members of our communities, and their effort is part of it is going to waste because the supply chain isn't helping them, and we need to be helping them. And so it's another interesting fact is we learned that the average piece of food consumed in the US has traveled on average 1,500 miles before it's eaten. So that's really surprising as well, because then we think about all of the fuels involved with transporting it that 1,500 miles. We think about the other resources involved. And so we're really trying to bring it back to those local food networks so that we can help our local farmers and help reduce those resources that are being used to transport the food.
Yeah, wow. I mean, I had read a little bit on your website, but that really is shocking how much food waste there is in America. And, it's something I think a lot of us don't think about every day. Why do you think this has become such a big issue in our country?
Yeah, part of it is that there is a lot of, it's very fortunate that the communities here have access to foods from lots of different countries, and that brings in wonderful flavors, and it's really awesome to be able to eat foods from all around, or even if it's, say, grown in California but consumed in Alabama, it brings in those different flavors, which is awesome, and it brings convenience. But the challenges with that is there's been a lost identity around seasonality, and part of our mission, in addition to helping these local businesses and farms, is to recreate the education around seasonality and eating with seasonal foods. And so like citrus, for example, or most fruits actually can't grow in Colorado in the snow. Well, not much can grow in Colorado in the snow, but there has been an increased demand to have every food type on every day of the year. And so what that encourages is the need for these huge supply chains to bring those foods in from places where they are growing at that particular time of the year. And we really think that a lot of it is caused by that. And so we're thrilled to see a lot of our restaurant partners beginning to tailor their menus around seasonality. And people who are listening may have already started noticing that some restaurants do promote the fact that they buy locally and their menus are seasonal, which just takes some adjustment, but there's so much to be celebrated in that as well.
Well, that is so great to hear that local kitchens are already kind of implementing this into how they operate. But how can farmers and local kitchens get involved and sign up with ReKaivery?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lovely website, as I know you said you were checking us out, and they're welcome and encouraged to join us. They can find all our contact information on our website. And just because ReKaivery is a little bit of a new, interesting word that is spelled ReKaivery. And yeah, there's sign-up forms on there. There's our phone number if they wanted to chat. I'm always very happy to jump on the phone and answer any questions. And we invite and encourage anyone and everyone who is interested to reach out to us, because we would love to hear from them.
Very cool. And I know ReKaivery is newer, but in the time that you've been running it, how have you seen it make an impact on the food networks in our community?
Yeah, we are newer. Just a couple of months we've been functioning, but we're really proud to have already been working with some awesome restaurants in the Fort Collins region and a lot of amazing farms. And we have some of our partners listed on our website, and they're all amazing. And I encourage any listener to check them out and support them. But what's been really beautiful is the relationships we've built, and it's so exciting to see how many people are passionate about this. And as we've provided this opportunity, we've already delivered so many times to so many restaurants, and we feel proud to know that helps with the farmers, because it's more convenient sales rather than maybe having to set up a tent at a farmer's market, which is lots of effort. So we're really proud to help with those convenient sales for our local farmers who are so busy, and they're such hard workers, and they deserve those convenient sales. And then to be helping the restaurants, especially during this challenging time, differentiate themselves by gaining the benefit of buying locally. It's really been amazing, and it's a privilege for us to be building these relationships, because these people in the communities are amazing.
Well, that is so great to hear that it's going so well. But for those of us who aren't in the Food Network business, how can we be more sustainable and conscious about food waste in our day-to-day lives?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. I think that's a great question. On one side of it, the opportunity is there to support establishments who are choosing to make those more environmentally friendly decisions. And so seeking out those restaurants who are promoting that they buy locally and supporting those ones who are making the effort to do so, that is a great step for any consumer like you or I, because we are then encouraging those good habits, which then encourages more restaurants or other kitchens to buy locally. So it's kind of like that knock-on effect. So the more of us Fort Collins citizens or wherever, by choosing those restaurants that buy locally, it's encouraging this whole set of beautiful new habits moving forward for a more sustainable community. But then on the more personal side, this isn't really our forte anymore, but when we first looked into it, the largest percentage of food waste comes from individual consumers, and so that's just a lot about. And I'm bad at this too. It's a really hard habit to break, but being cautious of what we buy and all those things that go moldy at the back of the fridge, and you dig it out 2 months later and it's gone bad. That is a large contributor to the food waste totals. And it's just trying to curb those habits a little bit. But it's hard. Even I, who am very aware of it, am still fall victim to that sometimes.
I can agree. I was like, I probably have spinach doing that in my fridge right now. Definitely something to be aware of. So thank you for that advice. What else would you like listeners to know about ReKaivery?
My number one thing would have been just encouraging and supporting those restaurants and caterers and other commercial kitchens that are choosing to make that decision to buy locally, because sometimes it is a little bit more expensive for them to purchase those local foods, or it's a little more challenging in different ways, but they've made that commitment. And so to support them is really awesome, because it gives them validation for their actions, which is so great. And so I would say, try and buy from restaurants and caterers that are proudly buying locally. And then I would say, if anyone has any connections, we're so grateful for the connections we've made already. But of course, there's always more experts out there. There's more people involved. There's knowledgeable, amazing people. And so we'd love to hear from anybody who has maybe insight, connections, people they know that could help us continue to grow. If you think you have a way that could help us continue to make a positive impact and make more of an impact in the future, let us know. We'd love to hear from anyone. We are still reasonably new. We are open ears to anything and everything that people have to say.
That is so great. So if a listener wanted to volunteer or possibly donate, is that a possibility for them if they go to your website?
Absolutely. We would be so grateful for time or financial support. We are new grads out of our MBA programs, and so we have been building ReKaivery ourselves, but absolutely, unfortunately, sometimes impact stems from having some sort of money to work from. And so if people are feeling like this is a cause that they'd like to support, we'd be so grateful, because that would be going right into our operations and our capacity to support our farmers and restaurants and caterers. So we would be really grateful for financial support and also time.
Very nice. Well, thank you so much, Natasha, for taking the time to talk to me today. It was so great to learn about ReKaivery and your mission, and I can't wait to see how it continues to grow.
Thank you so much for giving us this chance to chat. I really appreciate it.
Again, that was Natasha Lloyd, the co-founder of ReKaivery. You can learn more about this nonprofit by visiting ReKaivery, ReKaivery.com.